What's up guys, it's Nicole, also known as Nikki Vegan, and in today's video I'm going to show you some awesome vegan seafood. And if you're thinking, what is vegan seafood? That sounds maybe terrible. I used to think that too, especially with seafood for some reason. I was like, I just feel like that's something you can't recreate vegan and maybe we should just let that one go. No. This is delicious and really fun, especially because one of these recipes, the scallops, genuinely tricks people. It genuinely makes people think like, is this a scallop? Is this not a scallop? And that's not always the case with vegan food. But in this case, this is really similar in taste and texture and even appearance. And it's really cool to show people that there is a vegan alternative for basically everything. So I hope you guys are excited and let's get started. I teamed up with Thrive Market to bring you this video because not only do I personally shop there very often because they're budget friendly and super convenient. I get things like my spices and my pantry items and a lot of my baking essentials from Thrive, but also because it feels really good to support a company that is really trying to give back to the community. So if you don't know, for every membership that Thrive receives, they also give one to a teacher, a veteran, or a family in need. And I think that that is really at the heart of what this company is all about. They're always trying to improve and to give back, and that's something that I definitely can get behind and that I want to support. So since I have to buy groceries anyway, I might as well save a little money and support a company that is trying to do some good. So if you guys feel the same way and you want to try Thrive, there is a link for you to try them out in the description box below. I want to know what you get because I love, first of all, love seeing what other people buy at the grocery store. I don't know why, but also I love getting new ideas from you guys. So let me know in the comments. And with all of that said, let's get to making that lobster roll. So I'm going to start off by making the lobster roll, and I should tell you up front, this is a very decadent recipe, so it's definitely like a once in a while treat food, but it is worth every decadent delicious bite because it is so good. So for this, I'm just using some oyster mushrooms. You can also use baby portobellos, or I'll often mix the two, and I find that that is really great for taste and texture. Instead of rinsing them underwater, I just kind of wipe them with a damp cloth and then I chop them into chunky pieces. You want the pieces to resemble large lump lobster meat and not be too small because these mushrooms are going to cook down. Then in a very hot pan, I'm going to saute the mushrooms in a little bit of oil with some Old Bay seasoning and some paprika. And then the trick here is just to let the mushrooms sit for a couple of minutes without touching them so they get nice and brown. And then I'm going to use a little bit of water to deglaze the pan and basically just ensure that all of the mushrooms really absorb all of the flavor, cook all the way through, and get really delicious. Next, we're going to be using some hearts of palm, and this is a really great vegan seafood alternative because even when you open the can, you'll notice they have a very distinct seafood smell even though they're not seafood. And once I get a couple of those rinsed, drained, and chopped, I just add them to the mushrooms along with really finely chopped celery, some white onion, and then lemon zest, which adds a really great bright lemon flavor, but you're not getting the liquid from the actual juice, so you have a really nice creamy, decadent lobster roll. Then to finish this and kind of bind everything together, I'm using a little bit of vegan mayo, which if you don't know is really just egg-free mayo, and that's going to bind all this together. And at this point, we're ready for the roll part of the lobster roll, which is really just a hot dog bun. Now you can toast these up just as is if you like, but I really think that a huge component of the flavor of a lobster roll is actually from the bread. And they get this really great crispy golden crust by doing a thin layer of butter. Here we're using vegan butter, and kind of letting that cook on a griddle or a warm pan until it caramelizes, almost like how a grilled cheese is kind of crispy on the outside. That's what we're going for here. And again, this warm, crispy, golden brown hot dog bun is super flavorful and kind of the perfect complement to our vegan lobster filling. I like to serve these lobster rolls while the bun is still nice and warm. I'll sprinkle a little bit of parsley on top and serve this with a lemon wedge and an ice cold drink. And this is just so summery and fresh and decadent, delicious. I'm so excited for you to try these vegan lobster rolls. Next up, we've got Tuna Noodle Casserole, and this is a super classic and comforting dish that is actually very easy to make. So for the sauce, I'm just gonna soak some cashews in some warm water to soften them, and in the meantime, I'm going to boil some pasta. And you wanna boil this in quite a bit of hot water because you're gonna actually need some of the cooking liquid later on. So once the noodles are cooked to al dente, I'm gonna reserve some of the cooking liquid and set that aside before draining the pasta. Then I'm just going to drain my cashews and add them to a blender along with some fresh garlic, some onion powder, salt, some dried dill, and also some dried celery. And then I'm going to add a really nice depth of flavor and some richness with some nutritional yeast. And then I'm going to add some almond milk, some mushroom broth, and the warm cooking liquid that we cooked the pasta noodles in. I'm gonna blend this until it's nice and smooth and creamy, and then I'm just gonna add some frozen peas and frozen broccoli. Also, sauteed mushrooms is so good in this dish, so I highly recommend that as well. And then for the tuna, I'm gonna use this Good Catch fish-free tuna that I found on Thrive Market. It has a really similar taste and consistency, like that flaky canned tuna consistency, but it's all vegan. So I'm just gonna add 2 packets of that into the tuna noodle casserole pot, and then I'm gonna finish this with the sauce and give it a really nice stir. Then I'm going to sprinkle on some organic panko breadcrumbs that add a really nice crunch. You could also add some vegan Parmesan cheese, or you could stir vegan mozzarella cheese in with the pasta, whatever you like. Then I'm just going to bake this for about 30 minutes until it's nice and golden brown. This is a hearty portion that can serve up to about 4 to 6 people, depending on what kind of side dishes you're serving alongside of it. It is a really cozy and comforting meal and something that I've been making for myself and reheating throughout the week for quick lunches or whenever I have to pack my lunch for work. This is creamy, crunchy, and also a great way to sneak in some veggies, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And finally, we're gonna make my favorite of these seafood recipes, which are the vegan scallops. For this, you're going to need some king oyster mushrooms, and you're just going to want to slice off the cap and set that aside. You can definitely reuse this later on in the week for a different recipe, maybe your tuna noodle casserole, just saying. But then you're going to really focus on the actual stem, and you're just going to cut these into scallop size discs. And as you can see, they're already starting to look like scallops, which is a little bit nuts, but you can see that the texture is a little bit more firm than a scallop. So to fix this, we're going to just take a bowl with a little bit of rice wine vinegar and some very hot water. And I'm just going to plunge the actual little vegan scallops into the water, and they're going to soak there for about 15 minutes. This is going to completely change the texture, make them really soft and, well, scallop-like. I'm going to take another bowl and put that right on top just to make sure that the mushrooms are completely submerged in the liquid, and I'm going to let that rest for just about 15 minutes. Once you drain the water, you'll see that they have a completely different texture. They're kind of velvety and supple, just like a fresh scallop. And what I like to do is just take a clean cloth or paper towel and squeeze out the extra moisture. You want to do this very, very carefully so that you don't actually break the shapes that we created. And then I just set these out onto a plate once they're nice and dry, and you can use your fingers to reshape any of the ones that got misshapen. You want them to be nice and round. And then I'm just gonna season this with some Old Bay seasoning and toss it together. That's the only seasoning you need. I feel like you just wanna get a really nice coating on both sides, and then we're going to sear these on a griddle. To get a really nice sear on each side, you want to make sure that you set them down in the frying pan and then you don't touch them for about a minute or two so they get a really nice caramelized sear on the outside. Then you can kind of flip them over, let them sear on the other side, and then just let them cook for a few minutes to make sure that they're nice and soft all the way through. And at this point, you can really serve them however you like. I did this on a just kind of a lemony, garlicky salad with some mixed greens, avocado, cucumber. I dressed this with some garlic, olive oil, lemon juice, salt, and pepper. And as you can see on the inside, these are super duper authentic looking. They have that really interesting texture that a scallop has. That sear on the outside and that kind of velvetyness on the inside is really reminiscent of a scallop. These are also great on linguine with a garlic olive oil sauce, or you could just eat them on their own with some roasted veggies. Really, really delicious, and I think you guys are gonna love them. So that is it for this vegan seafood episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I want to know which recipe that you're going to make first. And as always, if you make one of these recipes, I want to see your recreations. It's one of my absolute favorite things to give you guys shout outs on my Instagram story. So make sure you tag me and I will check it out. I will give you a shout out. It'll just totally make my day. That's the best thing, is knowing that you guys are making these recipes at home and enjoying them. It really means the world. So go ahead and tag me in a picture. Make sure you check out the description box to Try, Thrive, Market. And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so that you never miss a video, and I will see you guys in a video very soon. Bye!